So logged into PCSE Online, and we're going to go to the Locum Work screen. Some of you will have seen all of this before, because a few of you have said, perhaps about a quarter of the audience have already used PCSE Online in the past for locum forms. But for everybody who hasn't, and to recap for anybody who has, then your Locum A form, I've tried to make the zoom in the screen to make it a bit bigger and easier for people to see it. And when you log in, it doesn't, you can zoom it in like this, but it doesn't need to take up all of the screen like that. So you log in, you see your A form, and you select the financial year. This is, I should have explained at the beginning, all dummy data, a test environment. So it'll have a few foibles and some information and data that you might think looks a bit odd. It's just purely for demonstration purposes. So any references to pension scheme numbers or anything like that are all fake and made up. The first question we need to answer is whether this is RMS. So is this appraisal, locum work, or not? So if we say yes to that, then we're invited to enter the employing authority codes, and we can submit our Locum A form for appraisal work. If we say no to that, then we need to start to enter the practice ODS codes or the practice name. So I can't remember the name of this test practice, but I can't remember the code of it, but I can remember the name. It's that one. Okay, so we've got a test practice here, and I'm going to enter the dates work. So April, let's just say it was the 10th of April to the 12th of April. So you select your dates, little date widgets as you would expect. Whatever the fee we earned was, that's entered at whatever you've earned. That then is calculated. You can see the pensionable element is calculated there. So your 90% is calculated by the system, and your employer contributions are calculated at the standard rate. So that's your A form. You click save to that, and what you'll see is that that will then populate a little bit higher up the form and give you that information. So the start of that period of work, the end of it, the fee, the pensionable income. That's our A form. We can continue to add to that if we want to, but just in the interest of getting through the full end to end, we'll just tick to confirm that. It comes up with today's date because that's the date that I'm submitting it. And then we can just click submit. We can save for later. So if you need to go off and check something or whatever, then you can do that. You don't need to lose it all and start again. And you can print at that point where you get the option to save it. So you don't need to print. It will allow you to save it to your desktop or your own computer or whatever. So we get just asked to confirm that we want to submit this, and that's it. So that's the A form done. That A form, then there's an email notification goes to the practice that I've completed the work for. There's also a notification in the messages area at the top of the screen that the practice can see, but that email goes to say for them to be advised that there is a locum form waiting to be reviewed, and they need to go into PCSE Online and either approve that, assuming that they agree with what you've entered, or they can reject it if they think there's been an error, and they can contact you to say, oh, I think you've put in the wrong fee, or whatever it is that they don't agree with. So that goes to them, and as soon as that they approve it, then you will then see that when we come to the B form. So that is purely and simply all we need to do for the Locum A form. Let's just go back to this Locum Work button. So we've got this Locum listing, which I mentioned earlier on. So the Locum listing, if we put submission dates, so we can check everything that was submitted today. We can use different parameters. This is, as I say, the test environment. We've been doing all sorts of messing around with that. So we've been submitting these forms, and we've got one form which has already been approved by the practice.